Hello again and welcome to Pearl Magazine. Disabled stand-up comedian Steve Lee was born in a refugee camp in Hong Kong with a rare disease. But none of these hardships stopped him from chasing a career on stage. Steve shares his experiences and his fight against discrimination to pursuing his dream in Hollywood. He blends stories and punchlines to convey his belief that everyone is equal.
Expensive, you know what I'm saying? You know how it is.
So, next comedian, everyone, been with us for a long time as well. They're very funny. Steve Lee, everyone, Steve Lee!
Hi, my name is Steve Lee. I'm a comedian. I'm from Hong Kong, born and raised, but also I did comedy in the United States, mostly in California for more than 12 years.
All right. Give me 10 more minutes to roll this back. Good night, that's my performance. Thank you very much.
I usually make fun of myself, tell people about my disability situation and how weird it is for me to interact with the world. Like I waited on the bus for a long time and I was last in line. I was the last person. And everybody wanted me to go on first. Finally, the bus came. Everybody's like, hey, you go first. I feel bad, right? No, I'm last in line. No, you guys go first. No, you go first. No, you go first. And the bus left.
I love Steve. First time we met, I think over a decade ago. I was highly impressed. Very, very funny.
Jamie Gong is a comedy club owner who has been working with Steve for over 10 years.
He does English and Cantonese stand-out, which is also a strength, because not too many people can do bilingual stand-up. So he's hitting the English market and the bilingual market. But yet you applaud him for someone being handicapped to do something that is extremely hard is an inspiration to us all.
Steve was born with a rare disease known as amyoplasia, which is characterized by muscle weakness. With contracture and deformity that affect his joints, it's difficult for him to move his limbs.
Most of the places have stairs, and it is always not easy, but I could get around it. Fortunately, I'm not in a wheelchair, and if I were a comedian who's in a wheelchair, oh my God, there are a lot of places I can't go. And sing metal. So in the summer, it's hot as hell. And in the winter, it's really cold. It's pretty smelly because behind us is like a chicken slaughterhouse. And I remember there were a lot of, ticks and fleas. I was scratching my hair the whole time, and my mom bought like one of those special shampoo, and as long as she's washing my hair, probably there are a lot of scratch marks, and it was painful as hell.
He attended a regular kindergarten nearby and eventually became aware of his differences to other children.
There were kids like bumping into me, I fell down and the teacher yelled at them. Like there's a term in Cantonese called 殘廢. People start calling that name. It was hurtful. Everybody was looking at me because I couldn't really walk. Sometimes I used a baby stroller. I was like 3 or 4 already. It was very hard for me to walk to my kindergarten. Sometimes I fell down and I said, "Mom, can we take a taxi?" It's like, "Are you kidding?" We're poor. We can't take a taxi.
An old neighbor from that district still has some memories of young Steve.
Hey,
He didn't walk very well when he was a child, so I remember him. When he came in, we helped take his order as soon as possible.
So Song Lim has been working at this tofu shop in Sham Shui Po for over 50 years. He recalls that when Steve was a kid, he would come to his shop with his mother almost every day after school.
He likes to eat our dishes like tofu pudding and fried tofu. Every time he comes, he greets us, chats and smiles. So I have a good impression of him.
Tofu dishes were one of the few delicacies they could afford at the time, but Steve's parents were determined to uplift the family from poverty.
They have odd jobs here and there, and my mom actually started working a little bit as an accountant, and my dad, he went to university in China, and when he first came here, Hong Kong didn't recognize his diploma, so he had to get a job like pulling chicken hair in a slaughterhouse, and then people are making fun of him. "Oh, Chairman Mao never taught you how to pull hair." He was like very embarrassed. He worked hard for the family. He would walk 30 minutes back home every day just to save, a couple pennies from bus fare.
As Steve entered secondary school, the family's financial situation significantly improved. They could even afford to send him overseas for further education.
Kansas is where they drop me off. And Kansas, what I found out, is where they make white people, okay? So there were no minority kids in my school. That means automatically I was my high school Asian Student Union leader. I was also my high school Black Student Union leader.
After obtaining a degree in animation in the United States, Steve initially opted to pursue a career as a photographer. However, he eventually had to give it up due to his physical constraints.
I couldn't carry all the camera equipment without my studio partner. I realized I couldn't do it. I was very depressed. I was like, wow, my disability got stuck with me. I had no choice.
Immediately following the 2008 financial crisis, Steve faced difficulties finding long-term jobs. However, it was during that time that he accidentally discovered comedy.
I can't be a photographer, but I still kind of want to do something. Out of a joke, I was Googling a class that teach comedy. And I was like, yeah, there's nobody gonna teach comedy. And then boom, there was somebody who's teaching comedy. And that's how it started.
Bring the energy up for Mr. Steve Lee, everyone.
I'm a very super shy person, very introverted. The first class, we need to get up and talk for 1 minute. I was frozen. I absolutely did not remember what I was saying at all. But then at the end, people started laughing. I was like, oh, okay, I've never had people appreciate me in such a way. So that's kind of how I found my confidence there.
Steve's parents, though, were strongly against the idea of him becoming a comedian or any other form of artist.
My father, is very conservative, Chinese dad. He was like, hey, Steve, you will never make it in Hollywood. You know why? How many Chinese disabled roles do you see on TV, huh? Never. If there was one Chinese disabled role written out there, you think you're gonna get it? No, they're gonna have Matt Damon play you. Chinese parents are not very happy with doing something like that because it means poverty. And they're not completely wrong, but it was the closest thing that I could do other than photography, other than other kind of art, that I can express myself without using my body. That's why I love it.
Central China is now challenging global brands. Stay with us. Welcome back to Pearl Magazine. When people drink wine, most think of Old World vintages from France, Italy, and Spain, or New World wines produced in Australia, New Zealand, the US, and Chile. But in recent years, wine lovers have flocked to try out wine produced in China, most notably those coming out of vineyards in the Ningxia Autonomous Region in central China. It went from selling only a few thousand bottles a year in Hong Kong to making the wine list at state banquets in Beijing, being poured into the glasses of political leaders and VIP visitors. Pearl Magazine finds out how and why the wine has become a sensation in the wine world. George Y is a wine trader. He appreciates different wines and often organizes blind tastings with like-minded wine lovers.
Tonight we're having a common event with friends, a blind tasting. I've brought an all-Chinese-made lineup, a Cabernet Grenache, a Cabernet Sauvignon, and a Malbec.
Blind tasting refers to tasting different wines while having the label covered so participants can comment and guess a wine's origin and price. Wines are generally classified by their origin, produced in either the Old World or New World. Old World wines refer to those produced in traditional wine countries such as France, Italy, and Spain. New World wines are basically everything else. Many are from Australia, Chile, and the US. As a newcomer to winemaking, China belongs to the New World group. One of George's friends brought a bottle of wine from a famous French vineyard, but he says these days Chinese wines are not in any way inferior to old world wines.
In a blind tasting, most people would probably believe it's an old world wine. It contains the elegant style of an old world, yet also leaves a strong aftertaste and not too exciting on your palate. New World usually allows people to taste its rich, fruity notes and has a weak aftertaste.
Actually, the wine they just tasted came from a collection that President Xi Jinping gave to French President Emmanuel Macron during his visit to China in April 2023. It's a blend of the French Cabernet Sauvignon and China's own Cabernet Grenache, symbolizing the friendship between the two nations. Christelle Chan is the International Affairs Director of Shige Guanlan Group, the company that brought the wine from Ningxia to Hong Kong last year.
Wine fairs give us a platform, not just for Hong Kong traders, but also importers and exporters in Asia. It also helps promote Chinese winemakers so they can find partners to open up more markets.
Since the duties for wine and liquor were removed in 2008, Hong Kong has become a major wine distributor in Asia. Mainland China and Macau have become Hong Kong's main markets. Government statistics show, up until October 2023, the city's total value of wine exports reached 2.52 billion Hong Kong dollars, up 36% from the same period a year before. Over the past 20 years, there have been ups and downs in wine production, but its volume has been maintained mostly above 26 billion liters annually. The International Organization of Vine and Wine forecasted total production in 2023 to reach a 20-year low of 24.2 to 24.7 billion liters. While mainland Chinese wines have seemingly caught up with other global brands, wine market veteran Jojo So says Chinese wines have switched from targeting quantity to focusing on quality, producing better and higher quality wines.
At first, the vineyards started growing mostly in 2013. They focused mostly not on quality, but on quantity. As consumers learned to drink wine, they felt the quality was not up to par. Many wines were left unsold. Over the past 2 to 3 years, many vineyards started improving their wine quality and taking part in wine shows. They learned to find wholesalers to sell the wine.
Wine trader Christelle Chan started out with this background. She said from selling Chinese wine under $100, China produced wines that are now selling between a few hundred to over $1,000 a bottle.
Our vineyard is relatively young. It was only established in 2017. We were one of the first few who accepted growing in Ningxia in the second half of 2019, before selling only domestic. To ensure the quality of each bottle, we use only our own grapes. We brew, operate, and sell our own brand.
Ningxia wine has been winning awards at trade shows in recent years. It has also become one of the chosen few on China's state banquets wine list.
Despite unfavorable conditions and the pandemic, we achieved our goal. That is exporting to Canada. And we export to the UK, Australia, Macau, Hong Kong, and Switzerland. By 2021, our export volume had grown by 200%. Despite the less than ideal business environment, we managed a 500% growth last year. We're doubling growth every year.
George is the wine's sole distributor in Hong Kong since 2019. He says being the first mover is the key to success.
The best time to enter the market is now, not when it's already popular and famous. You may not be able to establish a relationship and the price may not be favorable. It's like most famous French wines are already exclusively sold by certain distributors. You can't even import them. We're lucky we can deal directly with this winemaker. In 2019, it was difficult. It took us a whole year to sell just 1,000 bottles. It's the opposite now. We're chasing the winemaker for stock.
Since Ningxia's wine made it onto the state banquet wine list, demand for the product has been growing. Wine seller Paolo Pong says many Hong Kong consumers have become interested in wine made in China, which allows it to get internationally recognized.
Hong Kong plays the role of a super connector, bringing Ningxia wine to the rest of Asia and the world. Hong Kong has a certain advantage, certain history in wine, certain level of knowledge. It's like Hong Kong is a mark of quality that's recognized by the world outside.
The removal of duties for wine and liquor in 2008 also benefited another segment. Experts in the craft beer industry believe there is still room for growth because the scale is still smaller than other types of liquor.
Currently, the market share of craft beer is relatively low. It's only 2 to 3%. So we want to increase our market share. Our target is to increase our market share to over 10%, which is similar to the overseas market. Although the consumption of beer, wine, and spirits is gradually decreasing, local consumers tend to opt for quality products. Secondly, the local brewers are getting popular and supported by consumers.
Jason says the cost of making craft beer will be lower as production increases. He says the lower cost means a lower price. Jason believes more consumers will go for craft beer when its price is lowered to the level of mass-produced beer.
Actually, when you enter a supermarket, you will find the price of craft beer is a few times higher than that of a famous beer. So the higher price is the hurdle. However, when the increase of sales of local beer, the cost is getting lower.
That's our show for this week. Join us on Pearl Magazine, same time next week. Bye for now.